Hey guys, my name's Alex, your product specialist here at Linsky Performance Designs. Today we're going to go over unpackaging one of our complete bicycles. Any complete bicycle that we ship domestically, we will pre-build here in our house and we'll take it out for a test ride just to make sure everything's in proper working order before sending it to you. So just a few tips for when you start this process. You want to make sure you have a 4 mil, a 6 mil, and some cutters as well to cut the zip ties. We'll go over torque specs as we kind of move along. I do suggest that you get a torque wrench. Kind of helps protect you and make sure you don't snap anything in the process. First thing you'll notice when you get to the box is we pack a lot of packaging in here. It helps protect the bike and it helps make sure it gets to you in 100% working order. So we'll go ahead and start. Now you likely won't be able to get all the packaging out before you take the bicycle out, so just feel free to go ahead and pull it out once you get enough of the packaging out of the way. All right, so we got the bicycle out. One thing you need to do and make sure of is that you go through the rest of the packaging. We put the seat post and everything else down at the bottom of the package just to make sure it gets to you in one piece. You got your seat post and a little baggie full of all the extras. So put that aside for now. Getting to the bicycle, first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by cutting off the zip ties. This will allow you to kind of get everything pieced together. Make sure you don't cut any cables because it will cause problems. All right, now that we have everything kind of cut free, we're going to kind of pull a few things off just to kind of give us a little bit of room to work with. Set that down to the side. And we'll go ahead and start removing all the foam. All right, now that we got all the protective foam off, my biggest suggestion to you would be to install the seat post so that way you can put it into the bike stand, have everything up off the ground, a little bit easier to work on. In this instance, we have a DI2 bike, so one thing you'll need to be careful of is to not get too excited and go and jam the seat post in there immediately. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this cable off and we'll plug it into the seat post. With the DI2 kits, we use a seat tube insert for your internal battery. This makes it real easy to take out and kind of attach and detach. So what we're going to do here is you'll notice a DI2 plug. We're going to pop that out. It's a little difficult for you. There'll be a little plastic tool inside this bag that you can use for the DI2 wires. I do suggest you use them for connecting and disconnecting. It'll help extend the life of these cable ends. So when you go to plug it in here, what I notice a lot of times with customers is there is a false pop that happens when you push that cable in. So when we go to push this in, we're going to give it a really good solid push, and you hear a nice audible click. From there, you'll be able to take your 4mm Allen key, open up the seat post clamp just a hair, and then you'll help guide the wire into the seat tube. And then we are pretty much set to get that going. I'm not going to put the seat post all the way down. Kind of scratches up the seat post a little bit, so I'm going to leave that a little bit of an extended length there. For the seat post collar, you want to aim for 5 Newton meters. Typically, if you go over like 6 or 7 Newton meters, it will pop that seat post collar, so just be mindful of the 5 Newton meter rating there. All right, now we're going to carefully pick this up because the handlebars aren't attached. We're going to drop it into our bicycle stand. All right, now we're going to attach the handlebars to the stem. One thing you will notice is we do have to turn the stem backwards in order for it to fit inside the box. So, make sure you do turn that around during the process. All these bolts will be 4mm Allen keys. So we'll loosen the stem up just enough to be able to rotate it around. I'm going to leave that slightly loose so that way I can align the wheel to the stem once I get everything kind of set up. Alright, before you get this snug, you do want to kind of take the handlebars, try to make sure they're centered. Usually I use the letters to kind of give me a good idea, as well as the score marks on the side of the faceplate there. And we'll level that out once we get a little bit further along. All right, now that I got all that on there, I'm going to kind of rotate this around so you can kind of get a better view. And one thing with the wheels, most of the time we're going to have these end caps on here. Sometimes they will pull off the end caps of the hub. Just be kind of mindful, if you pull this off and there's still an end cap there, make sure you put it back on the front hub. When you go to tighten the front lever, you want to make sure that it leaves a good solid impression on your palm. So I'm going to get it to a good spot, test it out, see how tight it is. All right, now we're going to back it off a little. So it's definitely too tight. And now I got it to where it's at a good spot that I feel comfortable with, and I'm gonna push that closed. And it leaves a light impression on my palm, so that way it tells me, you know, it's on there pretty solid. All right, so now we pretty much have everything on here. One thing I usually like to do is run through the gears. But with this being a Di2 bike, we've got a few other steps to kind of process. We have the junction box A, which requires us to hook up, you know, all three of the cables. Doesn't really matter which one it goes in, but typically, you know, what you want to do is the one that goes into the head tube, typically you're going to put that in the center hole. And again, make sure you give it a good solid push so you hear that good solid audible click. And same thing with the other wires. You should be seeing some lights on your junction box A when you plug these in, or if you hit the button. All right, so we got all that hooked up. I'm gonna flip this guy around. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the gears just to make sure the hanger wasn't bent during shipping. If you do go through your gears and you find that it's skipping a lot, not making good shifts for you, you know, do reach out to us, let us know that your hanger's bent. You know, we're more than happy to take care of it. Just let us know, we'll do what we can for you. One thing you'll notice with the Di2 kits, typically they come with a firmware on them that keeps you from crossing the chain line up. So if you're in the little ring up front and you're trying to shift down into the harder gears and it doesn't go for you, that's just because it's at that cross chain limit. You need to shift up into the big ring up front and then kind of follow the rear gears as you go. You can always change that inside the Shimano E-tube setup, so definitely something worth downloading, kind of checking out, freshen yourself up on the information there. So run through the gears. Does look like everything's working properly. No real issue there on the hanger. And that pretty much has you. Some Newton meters that you want to hit for torques. Seat post collars is going to be 5 Newton meters. When you tighten, get this leveled up here, you want to tighten these to 6 Newton meters. That'll also be listed on the side of the stem. You also want to tighten these to 6 Newton meters. So part of that process would be when you take the bike down, you're going to want to make sure that your front wheel's centered on the stem to the best of your abilities. And you want to tighten up to 5 Newton meters, 6 Newton meters, sorry, on the stem clamp. So once you get that to 6 Newton meters, what I suggest also doing is rocking the front, basically hold the front brake, rock the bike. If you feel any play in there, basically that means this compression cap on top has loosened a little bit. So what you'll do is you'll go back and you'll loosen these 2 bolts, and you'll take your 6mm Allen key, and you'll just tighten this top cap just by, like, I'd say maybe like a 1/16 of a turn. Tighten the stem clamp bolts, go back and do the rock check, and if everything's snugged up, awesome, you're good to go. Now then, if you over tighten it, what you're going to notice is the handlebars aren't going to flop left and right on their own when you put it in the stand. You kind of want that to be able to happen. You want free range of motion there. If it's binding and it's not falling left to right, you know that you got it too tight, you just need to back off the hair. Once you get everything torqued up to spec, you're good to throw some pedals on and get out and ride. You know?